Hi everyone. A very good evening to everybody who is watching us today. Today we are here for a webinar on Green Careers Unlocked. And before I go ahead, as you can see, our theme for today is Green Careers Unlocked. And this is just the episode 1 of 3-episode series. We would be very shortly announcing the dates of next 2 episodes as well. So stay tuned. And our host today is Mr. Amit Banka, founder and CEO of WeNaturalists. He has about 27 plus years of experience across media, tech, finance, and social impact. He has scaled up 30 plus businesses, driven 2 billion US dollars in fundraising, and managed a 200 million USD dollar fund. He also has held many leadership roles across different industries, and he is a nature lover who has been building WeNaturalists to transform how people connect and protect nature. And as a guest, we have Miss Gayatri Raghwa. Ms. Gayatri, she's a very eminent environmental educator who has worked as a consultant with UNEP, where she led programs including the Tide Turners Plastic Challenge. She has also spent around 15 years at Environment Agency at Abu Dhabi, leading award-winning initiatives and representing the UAE internationally. So today we are in for a really intriguing discussion, so stay tuned. Here is a session flow of today. So, our chat today is divided into 4 broad topics. We would be starting with the similarities and difference between green skills, green jobs, and green careers. We would also be throwing some light on what exactly is green economy. We would also talk about that while we talk about green economy, why is this transition to green economy essential? And towards the end, we would dive deeper into sectoral growth in India and South Asia. And this is just the beginning. In episode 2 and episode 3, we will delve much deeper into these topics.
Thank you so much, Vani. This was so exciting to understand that what exactly is today youth thinking about green careers. I think there's a lot being talked about, but we have one of the best persons who can talk about youth and talk about how green education has really shaped up in this country and globally otherwise. So thank you so much, ma'am, to give us an opportunity to talk about this with you. And I think with your experience with this particular webinar, we would like to take some of these voices to the world at large and see how people can take that motivation to get into green careers in one form or the other. Before we actually delve deeper into green careers, I don't have a particular format, but I'd like to first understand from you that what exactly prompted you to get into this field? Why green education or this particular career that you chose from coming from a very different path altogether? So it would really help everyone who is seeing it from a distance to understand what exactly prompted you to get into it.
Thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me. And I hope I deliver something to you at the end of this, and the students go back with the feeling that they have got something from this particular webinar. And there's just like, being with the environment education for the past 45 years now. I took a break after 45 years. And if you ask me what started it, it's very interesting. The first thing that started it is my passion. I'm a student of geography. So, as a geographer, and I taught in Delhi University for about 11 years before I went on to other jobs. So as a geography teacher and lecturer and everything, the one thing that we kept talking about it is man's relationship to its environment, how man is related to his environment over time and space. And that's a classic definition we used to say in the past about geography. And I also happen to specialize my MPhil in human impact on environment. So that was basically, I don't know, many of you may not have been born, but in the 70s, there was a huge flood that happened in Delhi. Perhaps it was 77. And that flood was really bad. And I was doing my master's, and my supervisor, got all of us into a truck, and we started going around the flood hit areas. And what I saw, and the supervisor who took me was the one under whom I did my MPhil, she used to say that how flooding has become frequent and how the silt load has increased and, all of that. So my research was on the human impact of the floods, like how did the humans increase the frequency and intensity of floods in the Yamuna, in the whole reach of Yamuna. So while I was doing that, and I'm also a trekker, so I did a lot of trekking in the mountain. So what got me into this field is my passion. One is my geography, and the other is passion for the environment. So, I wanted to do something. My, touch and feel with the Himalayas was an eye opener, and I wanted to do something in that field. And since I happened to be a lecturer at that time as well, so I continued in my teaching profession and then expanded only to doing environment education. But essentially, most of the educators in the world, all around the world, have had that touch and feel of environment. So they're very passionate and they've got that inside thing going on to protect the environment in whichever way they can. And that also, I guess, takes us to the whole thing. We are going to be doing these 3-4 episodes. It is the passion that carries you.
That's right.
Yeah.
No,
and I'm sure it's the same with you. It's the same with you, Amit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think geography is definitely one of the common areas. I think I was also reasonably good with geography, and that is also probably the reason why I like traveling. And that's also probably the reason why I also love nature in some form or the other, and also got bird photography from there. So I think it's all translating into one action at the end, that anything that you love, then you try to then protect it in some form. So I think, yeah, that's so cool. But I think when I look at youth today, and you've been participating in some of the best programs that would have taken place in last 30-40 years that you've been part of this. There are two questions in this. One, where do you see the gap? And the second, from a mindset perspective. And second, do you really think that youth, or probably a younger generation, is driven towards climate action for wrong reasons?
No, that's a very difficult question, especially the second one. Uh, I don't want. The first thing that I would love to tell you is that I think youth, over a period of all these years, I've seen a marked change. Youth are now really concerned. There was this, Bath University had undertaken a huge survey of youth all over the world. And their survey revealed a very large percentage of youth were very, very concerned about what is happening to the climate, what is happening to the environment. In different issues of the world, they listed environmental issues and environmental concern, climate change, as one of their primary concerns at that point in time. So I see that youth have become really, this is off late, but over a period of these 20, 30 years, there was a period where we had to thrust environment education onto schools and to students because they thought that this was a side dish. They never thought that environment education is a main dish. Everything you do is about environment, and all education is environment education. Yeah, and nobody really understands that. When I used to do these programs, I remember when I was in UAE or anywhere, I used to sit outside school or the university offices 2 hours, 3 hours, just to tell them to take part in environmental action. And now it's a totally different scenario because the climate change is already happening and it is showing to people. I think the young people are really concerned. But one thing about the young people now is that their concern, I don't want them to be fearing it, because fear can paralyze you. Yeah. It will not allow you into action. So they are very concerned, but I really feel that what they lack is a platform, the proper platform and proper guidance. And I remember I had spoken to this one of the youth. They said, don't come and tell us, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? We know what to do. We want to do many things. All we need is your support and a good platform for us to do this. We can come up with a very creative solution. And I understand. And to the second question, I don't know if it is wrong reason or the right reason, but I think everybody is concerned with what is happening. You just saw what was happening. I mean, I come from Himachal Pradesh, and Mandi, from where I come from, was very badly, severely affected. And Himachal has been affected for the past 3-4 years. So no one today, whether one is in US or in Canada or anywhere else, can say today that they are not affected or they don't see the changes happening. So they do see changes happening, but what they may not know is how to act on it in the right way, how to go about it, how to take strategic action. I had one of the students just about last week in UNESCO, one of the students got up and said, you know what, we are really concerned about this and we want to protest, we want to raise. I said, first is get knowledge. You need to get knowledge about whatever that you're talking, environmental issue. Get your knowledge, work around the solution, right? And don't get so heated up that you start, protesting. No need, but there are ways and means, and you have to have a sustained action. You can't have just sustained effort towards environmental action. Otherwise, it doesn't, not one time thing, it won't have an effect. I don't know if
No, I think it definitely answers the question. I think climate change is always, if we keep on talking about climate change, which is very negative, it will always give you fear, anxiety, uncertainty. But the moment you convert that emotion into a climate action, right, suddenly you are hopeful. Something that you look forward to, something that you feel that you're part of that change. So I think that's a definite answer. I think we feel that as platform as well, we naturalists, we feel we believe more in climate action than climate change and just talking about climate change. So great. Thank you for that perspective. Taking our part to the exactly what we are here for, which is about green jobs, talking about green skills and green careers. How do you think these three things differ or and they are interconnected? Primarily because I feel that today there is a massive surge in the demand for good talent in this particular space. But unfortunately, because of the reasons that you mentioned, that no one wanted to take environmental education seriously or probably delve into the skill development of towards environment, there is a massive demand and supply gap. So, how do you see these things really coming along, and how do you bridge that particular gap as you move forward?
While I was at UNEP, we did a lot of work on green jobs and, trying to look at, we had a program called Green Jobs for Youth, right? So we were looking into it. While we looked into it, the first thing that struck me, and I had my interactions with youth from all over, different disciplines, different faculties. And what happens with this is there is a lot of confusion about the terms. People don't understand the difference between green skills, green jobs, and green careers. They use these words interchangeably most of the time. They think they are the same. While they are all connected to each other very intrinsically, but they are all different from each other. How are they different? When we talk about green skill, the typical definition of a green skill is knowledge, abilities, values, and attitudes, that one needs to develop and live in and support for a sustainable and a resource efficient society. So green skill is a very, very wider and a broader concept, which is applicable to all. Whether you are going for a green job or you're not going for a green job, green skills are essential in today's world if we want to build a sustainable society. But one thing about green skills, when you develop green skills, they are interdisciplinary. They use, it's both technical skill and the soft skills.
Yeah.
But you also have to have critical thinking, problem solving, systems thinking, digital skills. All of those things, all those competencies have to be developed if you want to develop a proper society, right? Whereas when you go to the word, say, for example, the green careers are more, they are, again, green skills, green careers and green jobs, again, are used very interchangeably. Career, again, as we all know, is a broad term and it depicts a long-term trajectory. So green career is actually an entire path or series of jobs that a person holds over a time, having contributed to positive environmental impact throughout their careers. So green careers can be old traditional jobs, but the person or the persons who are working in that career are looking towards transitioning to a more greener processes in their work, like promoting more efficiency, etc., etc. So green careers are more broad, but green jobs is perhaps a kind of a subset of green career. So green jobs become very, very specific. They are decent jobs. They contribute to preserving and restoring environment. They can be in the traditional economic sector like manufacturing or construction, or maybe even the emerging green sectors, such as renewable energy, e-mobilities, and resource efficiency.
E-waste and a lot of other
Yeah,
things. Yeah.
exactly. But one thing is green jobs help improve, in general, if you want to sum it up, it helps improve energy and material efficiency. It limits the greenhouse gas emission. It minimizes waste and pollution. It protects and restores ecosystem, and it supports adaptation and builds resilience towards climate change. So that's like in a summation, what are the green jobs? Yeah.
Is it right to say that every job can lead to a green career? But a green job is
100%.
so specific where you are in some form or the other helping reduce carbon footprint.
Just a certain position. A green job is a specific certain position. But green career is I chose to have a green career all my life. I'm an environment educator. But you went from one sector to another sector, which your passion drove you towards it, right? Absolutely. Your passion drove you towards it. But then I have been an environment educator at different places in different spaces, whether with an NGO or with the government or with a multilateral agency such as UNEP, like with everyone. But my job was environment educator all through my life, and that's what I did. So that's a career that if you look at.
If you look at now, I mean, this is a much larger topic, and I'll just touch upon a couple of things which are associated with it. Now, if you look at green jobs and skills in some form as one part, and how do you see and define green economy on that basis?
Okay, actually, green jobs and green skills are very, very intrinsic to green economy. But for that, we need to understand what is green economy. Green economy, again, I think it came out somewhere in 2012, 13. And that is the time when the word green economy was introduced and then shared openly. And then basically, when they defined it at that point in time, they defined it as an economy that results in improved human well-being and social equity, while significantly reducing risks and ecological scarcities. So, four major characteristics of a green economy was it has to be socially inclusive. So there is a social aspect. It has to be just, right? So social inclusivity, low carbon and resource efficient. We need to grow economically, but without harming the environment. The key words, if you look at green economy, are balance, shift, opportunity, and a long-term view. Right? And I think at some point, people, the green circular economy also came into existence. So many people also keep saying circular economy, green economy, in the same manner. But circular economy, what is the difference is circularity contributes to a more sustainable world. Not all sustainability initiatives contribute to circularity. Right? Yeah, they may not. So sustainability overall relates more to people than to economy. Whereas circularity contributes more to economic process, the production, the consumption, and the life cycle approach, as we call it. So I think there is a difference that needs to be made between even circular economy and green economy. But I think it is important here, if I can have 1 minute of yours, to say what are the key enablers of a green economy, right? The key enablers would be addressing environmental externalities and market failures, which is taking what we don't pay. Right now, we're talking about air pollution, and this is a gas chamber at this point in time that we are talking from. So when we talk about environmental externalities, we wanted to increase our, vehicular, owning a vehicle became a very big thing. You want to increase the production of the vehicle, but you also want to maintain that
to reduce the pollution,
air quality. Reduce the pollution, right? So, and when we started doing this automotive industries, we never factored for the cost of the air pollution or the health cost that right now everybody is taking. So when we did the cost benefit analysis of establishing, say, a huge car production or something like that, we never accounted how many people will fall sick and how much of money will be spent on that. All those things we never took into account. So we never, ever accounted for externalities. So that was important. Then the second thing is, the second enabler has to be depleting government spending in areas that depletes natural capital. So a government cannot go merrily cutting the trees at the expense of developing. Then promoting investment and spending in areas that stimulate green economy, which is, we have to go for I'm sure you are a corporate person, you understand sustainable procurement and so on. And we need to have a sound regulatory framework. For example, we have to have eco-labeling, etc., etc. If you don't have all of that, things don't function. And we have to be a part of an international regulatory mechanism as well, because air, water, etc., they don't have any borders. For example, UNFCCC, your climate change, CBD, etc., that also puts a certain targets and certain regulatory mechanism on a country to be green and to go towards a green society. And we, of course, the thing that is right up your alley is mobilizing private and public, investments and contribution. I mean, nothing can happen without the private sectors coming in. I mean, ESG is like a wildfire. Whether you take ESG or GR3 reporting or EHSMS, they're all reporting mechanism, but the green jobs that are coming in that sphere are so many. Sometime back before the ESG came, when you had the GR3 reporting, that time only a few people who were sort of trained in that would go, or any MBA would go. And then any MBA who did not have any understanding of environment will also go and do GR3 reporting. And so, but now it is realized with the coming of ESG and everything, you have to have certain amount of knowledge about environment, isn't it? And that's important for you. So then we need to strengthen institutional capacity. The most important pillar of it is education, training, and skill development. Because jobs cannot happen, green economy cannot happen without green jobs, and that cannot happen without green skills, and that cannot, go forward. So they're all very intrinsically connected to green economy. Without green skills and green jobs, you don't go forward.
It's a very interesting thing when we talk about government intervention and public-private partnerships and investments coming together. It's also a function of the regulatory framework, as you mentioned. But don't you think it's about the will and the mandate at certain level, which may international to a certain extent, it's difficult. But now we have been seeing whether it is Delhi or Mumbai or XYZ in multiple other larger cities, we've been facing this problem every year of depleting AQI, right? Which is straight away giving lots of business to the hospitals and if not anything else, right? So now how exactly we figure out a mandate in some form or the other? And I'm quite surprised that people are talking about it. It's about like talking about climate change, but no one is talking about climate action. Every time that I hear, and I keep on challenging that thought process, that it's happening because a lot of construction is taking place. Now, construction takes place every year and it's been increasing. But that doesn't mean that today suddenly environment is polluted and this last 1 month has been bad month because of a lot of construction suddenly has come up. It doesn't work that way, right? So I think there's a larger mandate, there's a larger requirement from all the stakeholders that to do certain things in certain way. It could be at the government level when they're looking at larger infrastructure projects. How are they balancing it in one form or the other? Now, these kind of things are very easy to talk about among us, right? But at a larger scale, I don't know how many those conversations are really reaching some kind of conclusion. So where do you think there is a gap?
The gap is, we all need a change in mindset. Amit, you're talking the way you're talking because you've changed mindsets. And you have a changed mindset. It's like, when I used to explain the word sustainability to my youth, I used to say, well, how do you define sustainability? Ability to sustain. So the question is ability to sustain what? What? Right? Ability to sustain, like the malls that I go to all the time. I love to go to malls. So is it the ability to sustain malls, ability to sustain roads, ability to sustain the trees and the birds that are outside? I hear them, but I don't even know their names. Do you understand? So my point here is you only sustain what you love. So the question here is, do you love environment? It's different saying, oh, the air pollution is killing me, killing me, killing me. At your personal level, what are we all doing? And as you rightly said, all the stakeholders, it's the government, the people, everybody should come together. even the people who are talking about it, I mean, they don't think twice about adding on to the air pollution, correct? Whatever. Air pollution does not happen by itself. Air pollution happens by so many different ways. Yeah. It's a complex issue. And it has not, rightly said, not over a period of 1 month or 2 months. It's an accrued kind of an effect. It has been happening till you have come to a point where, the potency has become very, very high. The potency did not become high like this now. It happened over a period of time, and we were all happy. I'm happy buying 4 cars, 3 cars, running high 4-wheel drives. But I say, no, I want, the air pollution to disappear. Voila, I need to have a magic. And then if you have some technology, technology is important, Amit, but it's also behavior of people.
Yeah.
Behavior is a very, very crucial thing. Behavior, mindset, different worldview. If you don't have all of these, everything will just remain a rhetoric and a talk. We will cry when we are not able to breathe. But the moment we are able to breathe and the season becomes okay, I will run around in my 4-wheel drive to the mall.
But I think, ma'am, to be honest with you, if you really see it in a high growth environment, heavy population structures of the countries like ours, right? It's very important, very difficult, where we are still struggling with illiteracy right now, right? And people below poverty line who've not seen the basics being met on a regular basis. Very difficult to tell them not to do certain things. But what happens is, and there are some of the examples, whether it is Himachal or some other northeastern states, and I've been party to some of those conversations somewhere, where there was a mandate that this particular city or this particular state is not going to use plastic at all, right? It happened with a mandate, right? Now, when such mandate comes, there is no choice but for you to follow certain things. It's like whether you're wearing a seatbelt. If you're not wearing it, you have to pay X. If you're, it's exactly that level of implementation. And I think that implementation is critical today. And if you leave the choice in the hands of people who are still struggling for the basics, it's never going to come back to you.
I agree. I totally agree with you. When we did this Tide Turner Plastic Challenge, a program that we did with the youth, and we had these 760,000, 1 million youth plus have joined from different countries. And when we did this initiative, that's exactly what we said. You can try and change mindsets. Everything has to work parallelly and simultaneously. The mandate has to be there. The people have to be willing to change the mandate. I mean, you go to the sabji walas and you say, you have 100 rules now. You have EPR, you have this, you have that, you have 100 different things. Still, when you go to a sabji wala, in a country like India, the ready wala is my sabji wala. I'm not going to a huge, big air-conditioned sabji market. I am going to the ready wala. Unless I take my bag, he is going to give me his bag.
He's going to give you a polythene.
Even though the SUP is banned. Right? But what will you do? Will you put him in jail? He's earning his livelihood. He won't get his food otherwise. So, I mean, that's why, as I said, green jobs, green economy become very important because you need. Yeah.
Tomorrow, if you stop. Yeah. Tomorrow, if that sabji wala is not giving you a polythene, right? Then what would you do? Ultimately, what's happening is you'll get a bag. You'll remember that you have to get a bag, right? So I think these are some things which probably will come only from a behavior and habit formation, but there has to be some push that makes that behavior change.
True.
Right.
True.
So I think we'll move
to
the next one from a global sustainability perspective. Why do you think a transition to the green economy is not just important but essential?
We talk about, we are living, normally when we talk about environment and we have in our circles, we say, the anthropocentric view versus the ecocentric view. Are you looking at the whole environment from a human perspective, or are we looking at the whole environment from the ecological? Like me and all other living forms have equal right to live, right? So are we looking at it as, all those discussions today in this Anthropocene world, I think geologically we've said that we have entered an Anthropocene era where human beings have actually altered quite a bit of environment around us. So you must have heard of Johann Rockström, the guy who did the SEI, which is when they came up with their concept, it was like a Stockholm Resilience Institute. What did they say? They said 9 planetary boundaries are there. And out of 9 planetary boundaries, 7 are already gone. I mean, you have overstepped, you've transgressed them. When you do this, then what are you doing? The whole Earth's operation is in peril. Yeah. How the Earth operates as a system, how it established a balance and a system is in right now peril. At this point in time, when you talk about all these things, and we keep saying, any child, we say we have only one Earth. We don't have two Earth. We can't run away anywhere. We can talk about Mars or anything like that, but right now we just have only one Earth, right? Now, when we've crossed all these, transgressed all these boundaries, then it becomes imperative. It's a survival thing. Do you want to survive or you don't want to survive? Right? If you want to survive, you want the Earth to survive. I mean, we keep talking. The word development to me is very difficult to digest. Although I studied the whole development. So when we say what is development, the whole development means growth. You're going forward. And when we kept saying, like, in fact, when the word sustainable development came, we said this is like an oxymoron. Well, how can you sustain something and how can you also grow? I mean, how can you enhance it even further? Yeah. So when we talk about development, then we have to understand that there are limits to development. There is limits to growth. Resources are not there all the time. Until unless you are going to ensure, we realize that there is limits to growth and we have to function within the Earth system, within the planetary system. We talk about environmental crisis, but are we having an environmental crisis of, we talk about triple planetary crisis, the climate action, the biodiversity loss, and the waste and pollution. That's often talked about. But I say there is a planetary crisis. It's not only this crisis, it's a planetary crisis. So it becomes important at this point in time. If we want to survive, then we need to definitely, ensure the survival of this planet. You have no other option but to go the green economy way. Because green economy framework integrates, the whole framework of green economy integrates consideration for the environment and sustainability into economic growth. It aims to generate economic development and job creation. At the same time, it ensures that we don't deplete our planet's natural resources. Because this is essential for our survival. So, reducing environmental risk, reducing environmental ecological scarcities, all of these are inherent in the whole green economy. So that is why it's important. And they say, okay, you're talking of a new kind of an economic model. The world is already in recession. So why are we talking about a new kind of an economic model? But basically, I think this is a wrong argument. Because green economy, going the green way, will not only ensure your economic protection, but it will also ensure the future survival and create so many more new jobs for the huge young population that is increasing in this world.
Right. I think that's a extremely important point that it has to go hand in hand. I think development is also a function of the kind of population that you're dealing with, right? Every now and then your resources, whatever resources that you have, suddenly you feel limited with those resources. And then whether it is roads, whether it is airports, whether it is train stations, if you really see, everything is overutilized right now. And I'm purely talking about India. And that's the primary reason why you venture out to countries which are less populated. You suddenly feel so fresh. You suddenly feel some different lease of life, right? And I think it's a function of how you are really using your resources and natural resources in certain way. So I think, I think there's a lot to be done in that space. But yes, again, coming to green jobs, if you are looking at a green job situation right now, which is expected to grow at least 5 to 7 times of current demand over a period of next 15 to 20 years, I think there are going to be different sectors that are going to open up and opportunities are going to open up in different sectors. which are the sectors where you think India, because India faces a very different problem as compared to some of the other countries, but India and similar countries in South Asia, what do you think these are other different sectors which are developing in this space?
While we talk about, yeah, India is a very different, the developmental stage, but
Yeah,
it's precisely this which we see as a negative can be a positive,
yeah,
because this is where we can really venture into the whole green economy. Because green economy here, like we keep talking about, India is poised on a green revolution, right? At this point, it's apparently it's been said that I mean, in climate change, UNFCCC, India committed to a net zero emission by 2070, correct? And electricity energy, that we want to produce electricity through renewable energy, 50% of it we want to produce from a
yeah,
solar or from a
yeah.
renewable energy
Or
perspective.
renewable energy.
Yeah. And when you talk about all this, definitely this is not only a global fight against climate change, it also signifies a move towards a green economy. Then you also have to think that 65% of our population is below the age of 35. So, and every month, more than 1 million youth enter the job market. So, jobs have really emerged as a pivotal force. And which are the sectors that you ask? The sectors could be renewable energy, which is including solar, wind, hydrogen, bioenergy, etc. Waste management, there's so many on waste management. Industries and manufacturing, industry meaning, steel, cement, automobile, e-mobility. There is this, I mean, it's all not science, and all of this. We have sustainable textiles, we have green construction, we have green architecture, we can actually green ecotourism, right? So there are so many of these sectors, because there are guidelines now have been established. So there's so many sectors that are now opening up. Normally, when we talk about the sectors of green economy, the first thing that we'll talk about is renewable energy. You know, even now
Right.
I did. That's the first thing we talk about is renewable energy, because that's a chunk, that's a large
Yeah.
chunk that will
It's a
go.
large
But
chunk
that
value-wise. Yeah.
value wise, but that does not really mean that other sectors people can't do. I
Yeah.
mean, like, as we said, green jobs are everywhere. So essentially, strangely, in India, we do not have a very, uh, till now, we don't have a proper definition of what constitutes green jobs in India.
Hmm.
We have a general one on green jobs
Yeah,
that I
we have.
spoke to you before, but we don't have a particular definition only for India. We don't. We have a generic one. So definitely, when you look at it, these are the sectors that are opening up in India. And, I mean, you can see, I mean, they say that green jobs in India right now employs about 18.5 million individuals, right? And by 2047 or so, it can go up to 35 million green jobs. That's it. So essentially, green jobs are everywhere, as I kept saying. Depends on how you go and where you approach it. And even the government policy readiness, like for example, we were talking about plastic, we were talking about EPR, which is extended producer responsibility guidelines that has come up. We've got the Surya Urja mission, we've got
Yeah.
SUP ban on the 19 items, National Green Hydrogen Mission, tourism guidelines, textile guidelines. We've come up with all these kind of
Yeah.
policy things, but remains to be seen on ground. The
Yeah.
implementation and
Implementation.
action, that is where what you mentioned before, Amit, about the skill gap
Yeah.
is very important. When
Yeah.
LinkedIn did a survey wherein they said 8% increase in green job advertisements, but only 6% increase in any green skill related thing. So there is definitely a gap. So that is where you guys are doing a wonderful job at We Naturalists, because you're opening the world to the young people and trying to, I think at the
Yeah.
end of these 3-4 episodes, I hope we can set up a kind of a network among the
Yeah.
students and yourself, where we are able to guide them to look
That's
at
right.
where their skills lie and how can we guide them if they are interested in going towards green jobs. It's a very vast topic, and that's why we
It
said that we
is
can't complete it in one
one
particular
episode.
city. Yeah.
Yes. So I think we leave this particular conversation with one last point that I have in my mind, and it's again very close to my heart, or probably it's one of my pain points, I would say, because we have always been talking about environmental education. And the moment the word education comes in, right, there's massive pressure and people are completely unaware of the opportunities that lie ahead. So if you are looking at education and taking learning and awareness in one side, which actually learning and awareness, according to me, is upskilling, right? Like, for example, in a normal world, when you are a marketer, but when you are wanting to get into social media or digital media, digital advertising, then you need to take a Google certified course to get into that space. It's like that kind of upskilling. It's not education, it's kind of on the job learning, right? So there are two aspects to it. One, people who are already in this particular space, or probably in the jobs, how we make them more and more aware of their opportunity at hand, that wherever you sit today, you can make your job as a green career opportunity or option. The second is that when you are looking at entering into a green career, what are the opportunities that you have, and what are the kind of skills or learning that you need to have to achieve that, whether you are a doctor or an engineer or a chartered accountant or whatever, but you've still not chosen a career yet, right? And the third thing is where you can create a learning environment among schools and colleges who are still being molded in certain way, right? And then bring them to the world at large, and as freshers, when they enter somewhere, they are already, their mindset is changed and their mindset is already green. So how do we work on that aspect, ma'am? I mean, because you know, we can all talk about that, right? But we'll definitely need a three-pronged approach, because these three different audiences, they are all in the market right now and making a difference, right? Or they are potentially now going into the market to make a difference. So how do we really work towards that?
See, to take up environment education in a very robust manner, environment education has been going on, and we kept on saying,
Oh,
what is
yes.
environment education? We say, okay, environment education is building attitude, skill, da 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 da, to work towards. It's participatory. So, what makes a difference between a normal teacher and because a teacher in physics or geography in a school will also be talking about renewable energy, all of energy efficiency, etc., and an environment educator. So, what's the difference between and a regular teacher who's pretty much talking about the same thing?
Right.
What's the difference? The environment educator role is not only to give gyan. No, you can't go beyond gyan. You've got to give them a platform. You've got to ensure that there is a change in attitude. It has to be participatory. It has to do, when we talk about 21st century skills, a multi-sourced learning, multi-source learning from different types of people, from different areas. So environment education has been very much of a 21st century learning from the beginning, even not in the 21st century. But the point is, environment education was never given that much of importance that it was. It is right now. I think people are trying to give it. Even now, they've not succeeded. One thing is, when we talk about this job thing, and I think you and I had this conversation. There is one is having like approaches such as you do, a project-based and action-based approach where you're engaging young people all across, and even when I did in Titan, a plastic challenge, where we got youth per se, and it did not matter whether the youth was from the rural area, is studying in college or not studying in college. They all came, they upskilled. We gave them a lot of training, hands-on training, through which they got their skills up and they started doing businesses. I think I was mentioned to you when we did this Titan, a plastic challenge, we established Birth Bank. We established, the women, the Adivasi women, many of them who never had money, they started making, we got a machine through which they could make pattals and then sell pattals and get more money because the villages used a lot of plastic plates. So, there is looking at that particular area, what needs to be addressed and trying to train them into addressing that, right? So we trained a lot of youth, even the ones who are not going to college. Of course, the ones who are going to college, we were doing that. Even now, I think the ones who are attending your meeting are all the ones who may be, formal education sector. But
Right.
India has a large number of youth who are not in formal education sector. And when you talk about green jobs, remember, all not green jobs are white collar jobs. They're not white collar jobs.
They're
Many
not.
of them, yeah, you can be a solar technician, you can be a plumber in a green building. What kind of plumbing techniques would you need to use? If you're a solar technician, how would you go and manage or service a solar panel in some other area? So you have so many different kinds of green jobs that happen. So green jobs are not meant only for college students with a white collar jobs, but also in a different way, and also startups. So what you are doing or what others are doing is giving that hands-on, on-ground training wherein you're doing that. The other thing which is very much needed, because we can't reach out to a large audience, we can reach out to only a certain amount of audience. The large audience can only be reached out by a structured approach.
Yeah.
In schools, I mean, we did a survey and we realized, I mean, in our survey, we asked, did your school have counselors who were guiding you? Because the maximum amount of environmental action gets done in schools. You learn about environment in schools, but by the time they come to college, everything is washed away because the colleges and the universities, many of them don't give that kind of a platform. But the counselors in the school, the career guidance and counselor, counsel them on medical and on engineering courses, but they never guide them on the different kinds of environmental careers or environmental courses or the courses that they can take to have an environmental careers. In fact, when we did a thing with the ICSC where we realized the counselors actually, maybe you can take it up, Amit, they actually wanted some ready, some material, like where maybe we can put together a kind of a, ready material for the counselors where we say, oh, you want to become an environmental engineer? These are the places where this is the course you need to do, and these are the places that you can go to. And you want to become a conservation person, this is where you can do. An environmental scientist, marine biology is taught there. Some kind of a thing where they are able, they can Google, but people don't take that effort. We need to produce some kind of a material for them, a toolkit for them through which they can guide the students towards, they see in a school, if the students are environmentally connected, they need to put. Even in colleges, they need to make, right now, there is a lot of stuff that is happening in colleges. I mean, while I was working with universities, I realized universities are doing a lot of things, but many of them are doing it under duress. It's not as though it's coming from inside.
It's a wrongly driven mandate. Yeah.
Very much. They are doing it under duress. But then I think as a university or school, they are the place where you spend maximum time. How many schools, how many universities conduct their own environmental audit, look at their environmental impact and try and address it? They say that that's a living laboratory. That's where you set the example. That's where the research comes from, blah, 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 all of that. But do you do that at the university? We talk about don't waste water and you'll see the water tap running. There'll be a thing written, post-it, written, don't waste water.
And I think that's the most critical thing that if you would have learned from the team, that the way we are planning to construct our campus programs are also to make your colleges sustainable as part of the bigger mandate at your campus program through our eco clubs and sustainability clubs. I think because that is the tangible way of making an impact. Otherwise, just talking about otherwise just talking about climate action and just being the flag bearer of climate change doesn't make actual change happen at the ground level. So I think once we give them an on the job kind of a training, and we've created an ecosystem or a platform where there are 6, 7, 20, 30 people in a particular college or a university, they come together to create that particular change, and that's so tangible, and then that's one gratification that you can never forget in life.
To be honest, UNESCO has come up with this whole green school, greening education thing, and they are now working with the governments to ensure that the greening education happens all across schools. And also you have many other players in the field who are working towards sustainable campuses. But then, as I said, they are limited. But you need to come up. They are limited, and many of them come because they want to be there. They want to get their names up on the board or whatever it is. So you need to come up with a way where all these things get integrated and embedded. Environment education has to be embedded into whatever we do, how you operate, how you think in a school. How does a school become sustainable? Just by doing one small thing? No way. You got to, the way you teach, your school policies, your school procurement policy, what you do, everything has to be an example to show that the school has become sustainable.
Yeah, that's right.
Similarly for a college. So those things have to be sort of looked at in a
I
very
agree.
detailed
I
manner.
agree.
But I think, that's a larger conversation for us to have. But definitely we need to do something in schools, Amit, if we can come up with a kind of a
We are.
guidance or career guidance and counselor, because how many youth can we reach, realistically speaking? But
Makes sense.
these people can reach out to so many more. So I think we need to work with them as well to ensure that, they get the ready material. They get
I
trained
am
and then they can train others.
completely aligned, and I think there'll be a lot of these opportunities to collaborate on, ma'am. So thank you so much, and I'm happy to figure out if there are any questions at your end that you may want to pose for us, or otherwise we can actually put this to an end.
I think because we need to stop at this point, I think
Yeah.
give the people a chance, because both of us have been talking and they
Yeah.
must be thinking, we are listening to these people and we are not getting a chance to ask any questions. Please feel free. You can ask a question now or maybe post all the questions to
Yeah.
Vani. You must definitely have her email ID, right?
Yeah.
So post all the questions. We'll be happy to answer you. We'll be happy to guide you in any manner we can. This is a kind of a very informal chat that has been going on. But at this point, there's so much more to cover. There's so many more things that we could have said, and we've not covered everything. We're just trying to touch a tip of an iceberg at this point in time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much, ma'am. Thank you so much
Thank
for being with us.
thank you so
Vani, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gayatri ma'am. Thank you so much, Amit. And ma'am, like you said, what I'll do, I will collate all the questions and I can email them to you. And yeah, we can respond back to our viewers. And thank you guys. This was such a wide ranging conversation. I think we touched upon so many things from EPR to pedagogy of environmental education to regulatory framework and my most interesting topic, limits of growth, right? And I think each of these topics, they do warrant a separate episode altogether. And guys, that's what we'll try doing in episode 2 and 3, delving down deeper into some of these topics. So stay glued to this platform, right? We will also try building different formats. Some of you might be knowing that we did this very short survey with our community to understand our audience and requirements from this webinar, and we got some really interesting insights. So I'm sharing these insights with you so that we can know that how this webinar is going to help us in bridging this gap. We were quite very surprised to know that 70%, 75% of our community kind of agrees that green skills are essential. However, we realized that only 40% people said that they have received some kind of formal training in green skills through their schools or colleges, whereas only 30% think that their skill set is aligned to enter green industries. And these are the kind of gaps that we are trying to fill through this webinar series. And I'm really excited to see that how this shapes up. Okay. And to some of our viewers who registered and filled the survey, we have a special set of exciting green career goodies for you. As soon as the webinar ends, our team will share with you. And if you didn't register before, and if you're still watching, then you can comment green career in your LinkedIn chat, and we will DM and we will reach out to you to share the green resources that we have built.